Nobody cares about good. You don't care about her. The left never cared about. The activist group that trained her didn't care about it.
For years, Greg Gutfeld has thrived on controversy, building a career that sparks laughter for some and outrage for others. But beyond the headlines and heated debates lies a story shaped by major turning points, criticism, and unexpected changes. Recently, he quietly stepped away from the spotlight, leaving many to wonder why. So how did Greg Gutfeld's journey at Fox News truly unfold, and what led to his sudden retreat? Join us as we uncover what happened behind the scenes. Greg Gutfeld steps away from Fox News. In 2024, fans were shocked when Greg Gutfeld announced he would be stepping back from his usual Fox News schedule for a while. The main question on everyone's mind was why. Now, that question has finally been answered. The longtime host of Gutfeld has been taking time off to welcome and bond with his newborn daughter. Viewers had been noticing his absence for weeks, and speculation began to mount. Some wondered if he had quietly left the network, while others assumed it was just a short break. The mystery was cleared up yesterday during an episode of The Five, which aired without Gutfeld. Co-host Donna Perino delivered the exciting news. Gutfeld and his wife, Elena Musa, have become parents to their first child, a baby girl named Mira. Later, the announcement was echoed on Gutfeld itself. The show's panelists celebrated the news, and in true Gutfeld style, offered their own lighthearted advice to the 60-year-old first-time dad. America has been wondering where Greg has been, guest host and regular panelist Kat Timpf remarked. Well, the mystery's been solved. Gutfeld later shared a statement of his own, joking that Mira is healthy with a strong set of lungs, Elena's beautiful eyes, and even his so-called rock-hard abs. He added that they have already begun teaching her 3 languages and putting her through a rigorous workout routine. The humor made it clear that even while away, he hasn't lost his trademark wit or lighthearted outlook on life. He also reached out to fans directly on Twitter/X, explaining that this was how you keep a secret and thanking everyone for the kind messages before signing off with a promise to see them in a few. In this case, a few means weeks rather than days. According to Joe Flint of the Wall Street Journal, Gutfeld was expected to remain on paternity leave until the new year, allowing him time to focus on family and the early days of fatherhood. 2025 was a busy year for Gutfeld. In addition to embracing life as a new dad, he continued his hosting duties on both Gutfeld and The Five. On top of that, he had a dozen tour dates lined up across the country, combining his television presence with live events. Balancing fatherhood, national television, and a full tour schedule is no small task, but fans can rest assured he will return to the screen energized and ready. What fans also know is exactly how Gutfeld is adjusting to the change in his life. How has he been adapting to life as a father? Settling into fatherhood. Greg Gutfeld eventually returned to screens after spending 46 days settling into life as a new father at his $10.5 million New York City apartment. The 60-year-old, who appears on The Five and the late-night comedy show Gutfeld, shared that much of the day-to-day care for his newborn daughter has fallen to his wife, Elena Musa, 42, admitting in his signature self-deprecating humor that he is not particularly skilled in the art of childcare. During his return to The Five, Gutfeld continued to inject humor into his portrayal of parenthood. While his wife managed late-night feedings and diaper changes, he focused on providing emotional support, a role that primarily involved checking in and ensuring everything was running smoothly. He openly admitted that his contributions were limited, with Musa handling most of the hands-on work and gently reminding him that he tends to be clumsy. Despite stepping back from active parenting duties, Gutfeld made one key move in preparation for family life. acquiring a spacious new home. In July 2024, he purchased a $1 million loft in Soho through the same LLC he used to buy his previous New York apartment. The 6-story, 1900s-era building underwent a luxury conversion by DXA Studio and now offers 3,560 square feet of living space, including a room already set up as a child's bedroom. His former 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment remains in his possession and was briefly listed for rent at $24,000 a month before quickly finding a tenant. The couple also maintains a retreat outside the city in South Salem, New York, where they purchased a lake house in 2018. Gutfeld occasionally shares glimpses of this contemporary wood and glass property on social media, though most of his posts focus on their French bulldog, Gus. Gutfeld and Musa, who met in Portugal while he was an editor at Maxim UK and she worked as a photo editor for Maxim Russia, married just 5 months after their first encounter in 2004. From the moment they met, Gutfeld recognized their connection and spent days in Portugal ensuring they would stay in touch. The swift courtship clearly worked, and the couple have now built a life together that balances high-profile careers, luxurious residences, and family milestones. Now that Gutfeld is navigating fatherhood, he is also pursuing one of the biggest expansions of his career. He is expanding his role at Fox with a brand new game show series for Fox Nation. The 3-part series, titled Greg Gutfeld's What Did I Miss?, is set to debut on Monday, May 12th, with the remaining 2 episodes premiering on May 13th and May 14th. The concept behind the series is simple but timely. From January 20th through April 13th, 4 contestants lived in complete isolation in upstate New York. During that time, they had no access to phones, television, the internet, or social media, effectively cutting them off from the outside world. Once their isolation ended, they were thrust back into society and asked to determine what actually happened during the months they were off the grid. Hosted by Gutfeld, the competition challenges contestants to separate real headlines from fake ones as they navigate a news cycle that was anything but ordinary. Dozens of scenarios are presented, and with a $50,000 prize at stake, participants must rely on instinct, logic, and humor to succeed. The showdown unfolds before a live audience and a familiar panel featuring Gutfeld, regulars Kat Timpf and Jamie Lissow, adding an extra layer of energy and unpredictability. Fox Nation President Lauren Pedersen described the show as a fitting response to a time when reality often feels stranger than fiction. She noted that Gutfeld is uniquely positioned to guide isolated contestants through the headlines they missed during an unprecedented news cycle, giving Fox Nation subscribers exclusive access to his game show debut. Gutfeld, for his part, leaned into his trademark humor when addressing the premise, suggesting that the contestants would have to get through him first before learning what truly happened while they were cut off from the world. The new series arrived during a strong period for Gutfeld's television career. Gutfeld also recently delivered its highest-rated quarter since launching 4 years ago, drawing 3.3 million viewers. The show also posted impressive numbers among key demographics, outperforming every broadcast and late-night program, including titles from CBS, ABC, NBC, and Comedy Central. Beyond late night, Gutfeld continues to play a central role on The Five, which remains cable's highest-rated program. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, the show averaged 4.6 million viewers and has now topped all of cable television for 14 consecutive quarters. As one of the original hosts since the show's debut in 2011, Gutfeld remains a key part of the ensemble that delivers spirited and spontaneous discussions on the news and issues shaping the day. Fox Nation, the network's direct-to-consumer streaming platform, continues to grow as a destination for loyal Fox viewers. Launched in 2018, the service offers thousands of hours of exclusive content spanning documentaries, investigative series, lifestyle programming, and entertainment. In recent years, it has earned recognition as one of the fastest-growing brands among younger audiences, solidifying its place in the evolving media landscape. What did I miss? Gutfeld definitely added another successful format to his expanding portfolio. Since resuming after his father's duties, how has he been adjusting back? Still drives ratings and headlines. In the world of cable television, ratings are never far from the conversation, and Greg Gutfeld is no exception. During his recent absence from Gutfeld, online speculation quickly followed, with viewers and media watchers closely tracking the show's performance. While Gutfeld has consistently ranked as one of the strongest performers in late-night television, some online communities pointed out slight dips in viewership during and immediately after his time away. For longtime observers of television trends, however, this was hardly surprising. Temporary declines are common when a program's central figure steps away, particularly one as personality-driven as Gutfeld. The show is built largely around Gutfeld's voice, timing, and comedic instincts, and while guest hosts and regular panelists kept things moving smoothly, the absence of the main host inevitably shifted viewer habits. In many cases, audiences simply wait for a familiar face to return rather than abandoning a show entirely. As a result, minor fluctuations in ratings during this period were viewed by industry insiders as routine rather than alarming. Still, the brief changes sparked conversation across social media platforms and online forums, where fans and critics alike debated what Gutfeld's absence might mean in the long term. Some wondered whether the show's success was too closely tied to its host, while others argued that the program's structure and panel format had grown strong enough to stand on their own. In reality, both perspectives likely hold some truth, underscoring just how central Gutfeld's presence is to the show's identity. What remains clear is that Gutfeld has lost none of his ability to command attention. Even as he navigates major personal milestones, he continues to generate headlines with his on-air commentary. On both The Five and Gutfeld, Gutfeld remains outspoken, often leaning into unconventional or provocative positions that spark immediate reaction. Supporters praise his willingness to challenge consensus narratives, while critics accuse him of courting controversy for its own sake. Either way, his remarks rarely go unnoticed. These headline-making moments have become a defining feature of Gutfeld's public persona. In an increasingly crowded media environment, where attention is fragmented and competition is fierce, his style stands out precisely because it invites debate. Some comments draw sharp criticism, while others resonate strongly with his audience, reinforcing his reputation as a commentator unafraid to push boundaries. This dynamic keeps Gutfeld at the center of political and cultural discussions, even beyond the confines of his shows. The ongoing conversation around his commentary also highlights a broader shift in how audiences engage with cable news personalities. Viewers no longer simply watch and move on. They analyze, clip, repost, and debate moments in real time. Gutfeld's statements frequently become part of this cycle, circulating online and fueling extended discussions that stretch well beyond the original broadcast. In this sense, his influence extends past ratings alone, shaping digital discourse as much as traditional television metrics. Despite the scrutiny, Gutfeld appears unfazed. His continued presence on two of Fox News' most-watched programs signals the network's confidence in his appeal and staying power. The combination of a strong ratings history, a loyal audience, and the ability to generate conversation positions him in a unique position within cable news. Few hosts manage to balance humor, political commentary, and cultural critique in a way that consistently keeps them in the spotlight. As Gutfeld, settles back into its normal rhythm following his return, the recent speculation may ultimately serve as a reminder of how closely tied the show's success is to its host. Ratings chatter will always follow a figure as prominent as Gutfeld, but so will attention, debate, and influence. Whether praised or criticized, he remains a central figure in late-night cable news, proving that even brief absences can spark conversations as lively as his on-air commentary itself. While Greg's influence is often tied to his bold personality, it has also been shaped by some of his more controversial views, particularly around accusations of sexism. However, after his recent milestone of becoming a father to a baby girl, many are starting to wonder whether this new chapter in his life could change his perspective. So how did Greg come to earn the label of being sexist in the first place? Greg Gutfeld's controversial stance. Greg has faced persistent criticism over the years for a pattern of remarks widely viewed as sexist or misogynistic. These comments have repeatedly sparked backlash from media critics, viewers, advocacy groups, and, at times, even his own co-hosts. While Gutfeld often frames his statements as humor or satire, many argue that the frequency and nature of these remarks reveal something deeper than provocation for laughs. One of the most controversial moments came in August 2023 during a discussion about rising smash-and-grab crimes. In a rant that quickly spread online, Gutfeld suggested that many of society's problems would disappear if women left Earth for what he jokingly described as a ladies' week on Venus. He went on to argue that society had become soft due to changes in discipline and punishment, changes he loosely linked to female influence. In the same exchange, he praised co-host Jeanine Pirro for being tough on crime, joking that she thinks like a dude. The segment drew swift condemnation, with critics accusing him of reducing complex social issues to crude gender stereotypes and implying that women were to blame for societal decline. Another widely discussed incident occurred in October 2022 during a heated debate about the attack on Paul Pelosi. As tensions rose, Gutfeld dismissed co-host Jessica Tarlov's reaction by telling her she was being too emotional. The comment immediately raised eyebrows, reinforcing a long-standing stereotype that undermines women in serious discussions. Tarlov pushed back on air, pointedly reminding him that HR was watching and clarifying that her reaction stemmed from the seriousness of the topic, not her gender. The exchange was praised by some viewers as a rare moment of accountability live on television. Gutfeld has also faced criticism for demeaning remarks aimed at female political figures and media personalities. He once described Vice President Kamala Harris as sounding like a woman at a bar on her fourth skinny margarita, a comment many found both sexist and dismissive. In another instance, he compared Joy Behar's presence in bed to that of a cow, a remark that drew outrage for its cruelty and objectification. Critics argue that these comments rely on humiliation rather than substance and contribute to a broader culture of disrespect toward women in public life. In 2021, Gutfeld drew further backlash when discussing body image issues among young girls. He suggested that girls who want to look sexy and hot are responsible for their own insecurities, calling it a girls' problem created by girls. Mental health advocates and commentators criticized the statement for ignoring the role of media, societal pressure, and unrealistic beauty standards, arguing that it unfairly shifted blame onto young women rather than addressing systemic influences. Perhaps the most polarizing have been his remarks on reproductive rights. Gutfeld has referred to support for reproductive choice as a psychosis driven by what he described as young, angry single women. This framing was widely condemned for trivializing deeply personal and complex issues, while portraying women's political engagement as irrational or emotionally unstable. Supporters often defend Gutfeld by pointing to his success and comedic style, arguing that his comments are exaggerated for effect. However, critics maintain that humor does not excuse repeated patterns of rhetoric that demean or marginalize women. As his platform continues to grow, so too does the scrutiny, with many questioning whether satire can still be defended when the same targets are consistently on the receiving end. Yet, this was only the beginning of the controversies surrounding him. When satire sparks outrage. Over the years, Greg Gutfeld has repeatedly found himself at the center of controversy, not just for sharp political takes, but for comments many believe cross serious moral and ethical lines. While supporters often defend his remarks as satire or provocation, critics argue that some statements go far beyond edgy humor and into deeply offensive territory. One of the most widely condemned moments came in July 2023, during a discussion about a controversial Florida school curriculum that suggested enslaved people gained useful skills through slavery. While responding to the backlash, Gutfeld attempted to draw a parallel to Holocaust survivors, implying they also relied on skills to survive, referencing Viktor Frankl's writings. The comparison immediately sparked outrage. The Auschwitz Memorial publicly condemned the remarks, as did the White House, with many saying the comparison trivialized the horrors of both slavery and the Holocaust. The backlash intensified later when Gutfeld compared transgender healthcare providers to Nazi doctors, a statement critics described as reckless and historically offensive. His rhetoric surrounding Nazism sparked further outrage in July 2025 when he suggested conservatives should reclaim the word Nazi, comparing it to how Black communities have reclaimed the N-word. The comparison was widely criticized as both inappropriate and dangerous, with many accusing him of minimizing the weight of Nazism while casually invoking a racial slur on air. Media analysts warned that such language risked normalizing extremist ideology rather than challenging it. Gutfeld has also faced serious criticism for rhetoric that appears to flirt with political violence. On multiple occasions, he has encouraged viewers to post the names and home addresses of protesters online in order to make their lives extra difficult. Critics argue this type of language puts people at real risk. In September 2025, tensions boiled over during a heated on-air argument with co-host Jessica Tarlov about political violence, when Tarlov referenced the assassination of a Minnesota lawmaker to stress the real-world consequences of extreme rhetoric. Gutfeld dismissed the relevance of naming the victim, a response that drew strong condemnation from viewers and commentators alike. Even outside the United States politics, Gutfeld's comments have caused international backlash. In 2009, while hosting Red Eye, he and his panel mocked the Canadian military for requesting a synchronized break following their mission in Afghanistan. The segment joked that it would be a perfect time to invade Canada. The remarks aired shortly after 4 Canadian soldiers had been killed, prompting outrage from Canada's defense minister and widespread criticism. Gutfeld later apologized, acknowledging that the comments were inappropriate. Even amid ongoing controversy, Greg has carved out a lasting reputation as a prominent figure in television. Is Greg Gutfeld's on-air persona meant to be satire, or does it reflect his personal beliefs? How would being a father change him professionally? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.